You're listening to the ESO Network, your station for all things geek.
I'm Drew Leiter.
And I'm Cletus Jacobs.
And welcome to episode 9 of the Legends of the DCU. Tonight we're talking Superman number 24 through Superman number 30 and the Sandman season 2 episode 9, The Kindly Ones. But before we get into that, let's talk some DC news. All right, up for DC news tonight, Cletus, we've got 3 Elseworld miniseries coming in 2026. The first one is called Supergirl Survive, and the series follows a teenage Kara Zor-El who becomes a protector of her infant cousin Kal-El as they are forced to escape their dying planet together. It's written by Ethan S. Parker and Griffin Sheridan with art and covers by Rod Reese. The second miniseries we have is called Superman, Father of Tomorrow. This reimagining of Jor-El's story in which he becomes the lone survivor of Krypton's destruction via an escape ship. This is written by Kenny Porter and illustrated by Danny Earls. And then the last miniseries is Dark Knights of Steel 2, written by Tom Taylor and illustrated by Otto Smith, with covers by Yasmin Putri. And no plot details have been revealed on that one. So we're getting 2 Superman-related miniseries, and then, of course, Dark Knights of Steel number 2, which honestly we're probably both most excited about, I would guess.
Oh, yeah. And that's really not meant to be a criticism of the other two. I think both of them have the potential to be, interesting Elseworld stories. But we both loved Dark Knights of Steel Volume 1. So I understandably just most excited for the second round of that story. I know we got the spin-off story that there was 2 different ones. There was the Deathstroke and then Aquaman.
Yeah, the Aquaman one.
Those were okay. I remember liking parts of them, and I remember not caring for other parts of it. So, yeah, I'm curious getting the series back in Tom Taylor's control fully and seeing what he does next with the run. I really enjoyed the first one. Yeah, that's super cool. I love that they're continuing these Elseworlds books, though, Drew. It's fun. I think it's a really easy way to do some creative DC stories and to keep people in the loop in terms of creative talent, right? I mean, we talked about, I think it was last week or the week before, Drew, that DC has done a very, very good job getting a lot of the current writing and artist talent in their stable in one way or another. And I think keeping books like this is a way to do that, because you can tempt someone that maybe doesn't want to do an ongoing book into doing one of these, right? Or it's their way of essentially doing a tryout, right? Like hey, I've got this really good idea for a series. You give it to them, and it turns out great. Well, awesome. Now you can incorporate them, obviously, if they're willing, into other books in the future, right? Like, I think, the only real downside of these books is that they write a bad one, right? Like, whatever. I mean, they write a lot of crap ongoing books too, so that's not that bad.
That's the truth. So, yeah, I mean, we've had some good ones and we've had some we didn't care for, like the Green Lantern Dark we just reviewed recently. That it was okay, but I probably wouldn't read another story about it. But
yeah, I agree. But what was the harm in that? It was someone pitched an interesting Green Lantern idea. It didn't necessarily work, but it was a cool idea and it was worth exploring. And I love Elseworlds. I am excited they're doing more. I wish there was a little more variety in that crop that was coming out, but whatever. Not that big of a deal, right? I just hope that they keep going. I would love to see these keep popping up. And I don't need, a ton every year, but if we just get 3 or 4 a year, great. I'm good with that.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of the title, but we had that one where we had a Batman one not too long ago, a few years ago, where we had him like hooking up with Harley Quinn and
Oh, White Knight.
White Knight. Jeez, I could not think of what it was. Yes.
I don't think
Those were
that I
pretty
think
good.
that one is probably now considered Elseworlds, but I think when they first published that, Drew, I think that was part of their Black Label.
Oh
I
yeah,
don't
you're
know.
right. That was a Black Label. That was before
I
they brought back the Elseworlds
yeah, I mean,
label.
let's
But
be
it's
honest.
same
It
difference.
is, yeah, it is an Elseworld story, but I don't think they had officially brought back the term yet.
So yeah, we get good ones and bad ones. So they're always good to check out. And the great thing about them is they're usually sort of unique. So giving you a different twist on something we've seen before. So I like them. All right. Well, that wraps up DC news for this week. Let's take a short break. And when we come back, we'll do our comics talk.
AI promo start. Podcast name, please.
What?
Thank you. Podcast what? Topic, please.
It's not what?
Podcast what? Topic, not what.
That's not it at all. You've got the name wrong.
Correction. Name is spelled. Please give correct letter.
Well,
Correct letter is I. Podcast is not what. Podcast is nitwit.
Oh, brother.
Brother is also a nitwit.
We're the Monkey Around Podcast.
we talk about the monkey.
We're on YouTube and podcast platforms.
AI promo ended. Podcast nitwit on the ESO network.
And we're back. Let's talk Superman number 24. The story arc is called Lex and Mercy. Superman and Superwoman arrive at Supercorp for a meeting with Mercy Graves, only to walk in on Mercy and Lex kissing. Mercy then unveils a line of Superman-inspired technology she wants to sell commercially, an idea Superman immediately rejects. A crisis in Markovia pulls Lois away on her first JLU mission. Superman stays behind to inspect Supercorp's inventions with Lex and Lena, who insist their Phantom Zone-based stasis tech and other creations are meant for humanitarian use, even as he worries about their potential for weaponization. When the MPD suddenly arrive to arrest Lex, thanks to Superman tipping them off about his returning memories, Lena reveals that Mercy has been lying to him. That suspicion is confirmed when Superwoman returns from Markovia with a Coon weapon stamped with a Superman logo. The trio confront Mercy, who calmly admits she sold weapons to the Coons before revealing a metallo-style kryptonite core in her chest and attacks them. Declaring that Lex's new heroic persona is useless to the world, Mercy unveils her solution, a cloned Lex Luthor in a Kryptonian solar suit built to carry out the original Lex's vision. Was that issue so good it left you speechless?
Really, this whole 8 issues or so that we read left me pretty speechless, Drew. I mean, if someone were to have scientifically engineered a writer that I would just hate every word that comes out of their mouth, I don't know that they could do better than Josh Williamson. It's so bad, Drew. I look, I know it's subjective, and obviously I can't be the majority opinion on this. Like, we have to somehow be in the minority on this because he keeps getting handed all the biggest books, and I don't get it because there's just nothing of his that I like, and none of this, not this issue or any of the other ones that we're going to read or talk about going forward with the rest of this run. It's garbage. It's just so bad, Drew. I mean, and the thing is like he comes up with these big grandiose ideas and then he churns them out in like 1 or 2 issues. And so there are these big grand operatic ideas that he's doing in like Silver Age speed, and it just doesn't work. Like none of it means anything to me, Drew. Like here, so within this issue, we're still on the Lex is somehow partly redemptive arc, whatever BS we're doing with him. And it takes only 8 issues, Drew. And I know we haven't talked about all of it yet, but by the time we get to the end, it's frankly unclear what exactly Lex is at that point. I have nothing positive to say about any of these issues.
And I knew you wouldn't. Yeah, I don't know. I don't understand what he's trying to do, but yeah. All right, let's move on to issue number 25, which is called Last Lex Standing. Lex Luthor once warned Mercy Graves that his clone, XL, was too unstable to ever be released. In the present, she awakens him anyway after implanting him with the original Lex's memories up through Project Blackout. XL immediately attacks Superman and Superwoman, prompting Lena to call her father, who escaped strikers with the reluctant help of Marilyn Moonlight. As the Kryptonite-weakened super family struggles to protect civilians, Lex arrives in his war suit to battle the rapidly deteriorating clone. XL's growing Bizarro-like instability pushes him to declare himself the true Lex and vow to destroy Metropolis. When XL threatens to kill their family, Superwoman unleashes a massive blast of heat vision in rage. The clone rises again in full Bizarro form until Lex confronts him, offers help, and when XL refuses, executes him with a single blast. Mercy quietly welcomes the old Lex back as Superman fumes over the killing. When he orders Lex return to Strikers, Superwoman reveals that her powers have vanished.
Drew, I thought this issue was emblematic of what I'm talking about, where he introduces this idea of Lex X and this, and a Superman, Lex Luthor crossover, right? And a lot that I mean, the thing is like fundamentally, that's not a new idea. First off, many iterations. And then we see the flaw in this is that he's really like a Bizarro, like we saw from Forever Evil, which is definitely the story that he's referencing there. But it all just wraps up, right? Like he does, it's this whole big thing, this whole huge reveal. And now, to be clear, Drew, I don't want to read more of this. So that's great. I'm glad that we just moved on from it. But fundamentally, this is an idea that he's setting up, Drew, to be this big idea that people will talk about, like, oh, remember when Lex X got introduced or whatever? I don't remember what they. And I've said this so many times, I've never read a writer that is so transparently writing for his legacy. Like, he's just constantly trying to put stuff in and jam out new ideas as quickly as possible. And you can't convince me, Drew. Again, I don't know him personally, but you can't convince me based on what I'm reading that he's doing it because he's just so full of ideas bubbling out of his brain that he can't help but put them all out. They're so transparently being thrown out there so that, some new movie or TV show or cartoon or whatever will latch on to one of his ideas because it's the new and current thing. And so they'll be, much like on the Flash TV show, they'll be misguided into using some of that stuff because they're like, oh, it's what's current, so that must be what people want. And there he is cashing checks on being the creator of this crap. And if you go back and actually read these issues of the stuff that he introduces, there's nothing to it. There's no substance. It's all surface level. That's always been my biggest issue with him, Drew, is that he's so focused on creating things that he can cash in on the IP of that there's no depth to any of these stories. There was no depth to his big event, the Dark Crisis, that was completely surface level, shallow storytelling. Now we're in the Superman story that, again, is just totally surface level storytelling with no better, deeper context. In this issue, this is like it's issue 25, so it's supposed to be a little bit bigger, splashier, right? And big things happen. And like technically all that stuff happens, but also you read it and you're like, okay. You know what I mean? Because every issue is like this. This isn't that different from any other issue in this run because he's constantly, every single issue, introducing some new flashy idea that he gives like 5% depth to, and then moves on to the next new flashy thing, and then next new flashy thing, and none of it means anything.
The next story we get to is called Superman Red, Part 1 and 2. And I was so afraid we were going back to the Energy Superman from back in the day. When I saw those titles, I was like, oh, well, here we go. That wasn't quite what this was, though. Lex Luthor's return to Stryker's Island shatters his fragile reconciliation with Lena, who confronts him in tears for a lifetime of manipulation. She ultimately walks away from him for good. At the same time, Lois Lane learns her Superwoman powers are gone and refuses further testing, determined to reclaim her normal life despite Superman's concern. Across the galaxy, Coons armed with Supercorp weapons attack the Legion of Zod. Back on Earth, Lena confronts Mercy about XL, rejects her offer to be her personal assistant, and then flees Supercorp on a stolen superbike. As the Omega Legion tortures the Time Trapper for answers, Superman confronts Lex about lingering threats. Lex provokes him with claims about restoring Lois's powers. This triggers a red kryptonite-fueled rage in Superman. The outburst forces Lex to recruit Farm and Graft to help cure Superman before he destroys Metropolis. Meanwhile, Lois works late at the Daily Planet, burdened by the guilt over Jimmy's injuries, just as news breaks of an escape from Stryker's Island. Superman, hunted by Marilyn Moonlight due to his unstable Red K infection, discovers Farm and Graft have escaped with Lex's help. Lex, now fully restored in memory, offers Mercy a choice to stay in Metropolis or leave with him. Meanwhile, Farm and Graf attack the city in a giant robot built with Lex's nanotech. Lex secretly contacts Superman, revealing he orchestrated the Red K crisis to force a cure and prove his desire to change. He also admits he cannot escape who he used to be and must leave Metropolis. Following Lex's plan, Superman defeats the robot and allows Marilyn to purge the Red K from his system. Still furious, Superman arrives too late to confront Lex, finding only Mercy, now committed to running the newly branded Lex Corps in Lex's absence. Clark returns to Lois on the Daily Planet roof, where she embraces life without powers, and together they accept that Lex has vanished off the grid. In the future, the Omega Legion, having already captured Booster Gold, prepares for a confrontation with Superman as the Time Trapper escapes into the time stream. It's hard for me to read. There are so many things going on and so many characters in it. He's just throwing stuff at the wall to see if it sticks.
Yeah, I mean, and again, that's just sort of his MO. He can't keep his paws off of anybody else's stories because he wants to put his special stamp on it, and get fans to go, oh, he put Booster Gold in this story. Oh, he gets me. Josh Williamson gets me. I hope he writes this book too. And it's just, it works clearly. Again, I have to say, Drew, clearly it works because you and I can't stand any of these stories, but they keep selling and they keep giving them books. So we're missing something.
Yeah, but I've noticed, I think he's only been writing the Superman titles lately. I don't think I've seen his name on anything else recently.
I know he was doing at least involved with the DC KO.
The KO, yeah.
I don't know if he was the direct writer of that or not, but certainly involved.
Yeah, I don't know yet because we haven't got to it, but I know this title leads into it. So we're going to get to that event eventually.
I'm in no rush.
All right, well, let's move on to the last three titles. Superman number 28 through 30, and this one's called Legion of Darkseid. Superman returns to the Kent farm to retrieve his old Legion flight ring. He confides in Martha that he fears the future has shifted so drastically that even the Legion may no longer be the friends he remembers. I'm going to pause here for just a moment, because when I started reading this, I was like, wait a minute, I thought Martha and Jonathan were both dead. I was like, when did they come back?
Yeah, see, but this is the problem with all of these reboots and rehashes, Drew, is it's very hard to keep track of what's actually current at this point.
Yeah, because last time I remembered, I thought they were dead. I thought it was just Clark, Lois, and Jonathan now. And when I was confused when he went back and Martha was there. So something happened and changed that I don't remember. Of course, we have been reviewing Superman for over 10 years now, so with Williamson's writing, it's hard to keep track of stuff anyways.
Yeah, tell me about it.
After she reassures him, Superman opens a portal to the future. He's immediately confronted by a twisted Saturn girl from a Darkseid-shaped reality. She traps him in a brutal telepathic illusion where Cosmic Boy destroys the Watchtower and Lightning Lad murders Martha before Superman's eyes. As Supergirl prepares to imprison him forever in that nightmare, the Time Trapper intervenes, whisking Superman into the time stream and warning that Martha's death would be preferable to what Darkseid's return would bring. Time Trapper brings Superman into a pocket timeline resembling his childhood Smallville, revealing the ally he hid there long ago, Superboy Prime, who burst onto the scene with meta-aware swagger, announcing his return and teasing the event to come. Superboy Prime excitedly recaps his redemption arc from death metal and boasts that he finally gets to team up with Superman. Clark is baffled by his meta commentary and furious that Prime treats his past killings as irrelevant reboot casualties. Time Trapper insists Prime is the only ally unpredictable enough to counter Darkseid's Legion, then vanishes, leaving the two to reach the 31st century by having Superboy Prime literally punch through reality. Prime confidently predicts a classic triumphant Legion rescue, but they instead arrive in a devastated future Metropolis littered with dead Legionnaires, including Saturn Girl, leaving Superman heartbroken and even Prime unsettled. They find a small band of surviving Legionnaires, Cosmic Boy, Dawnstar, Gold Lantern, Kinetics, and Polar Boy, who revealed they captured an Omega Legion Brainiac and traced Darkseid's forces to the Time Institute. Tensions flare when Prime mocks them and threatens Polar Boy. After Superman rallies the shaken team with a speech about hope, Cosmic Boy is exposed as Chameleon in disguise. He kills a Brainiac and then triggers an attack by Darkseid's Legion. Prime urges Superman to retrieve Booster Gold while the others are overwhelmed. Superman rescues Booster from captivity and learns he was stranded in the future after entering the Absolute Universe. When they emerge outside, they discover their allies have been captured and the Omega Legion surrounds them. Saturn Girl declares that Darkseid has conquered all time. Just before Superboy Prime betrays Superman, lifting him up by the throat and declaring that they've already lost. Superboy Prime keeps Superman restrained while Saturn Girl recounts her dark origin. She explains that she was born during a brutal war between Braille and Titan and later imprisoned by her own people for her overwhelming telepathy. She was ultimately guided by a mysterious cosmic voice that led her to form a fanatical legion devoted to the final god and the coming destruction of reality. In the devastated 31st century, tensions rise as Superboy Prime bickers with Cosmic Boy and Lightning Lad. Saturn Girl explains that Booster Gold, overflowing with Chronal and Omega energy, is the key to Darkseid's return. She says Booster must be sacrificed along with Superman, whose very existence represents an age of hope the Legion once erased. Meanwhile, on Earth, Lex Luthor ends his self-imposed exile by killing and attacking martial artists, signaling his return to action. Back in the future, the Legion straps Booster Gold into a machine meant to channel his energies to Darkseid and forces Superman to watch. When Saturn Girl orders Superboy Prime to kill Booster to prove his loyalty, he hesitates. He then reveals he was only pretending to betray Superman to learn the Legion's plan, frees him, and attacks their captors. As Element Lad's machine opens a portal to the past, Superboy Prime urges Superman and Booster Gold to escape. Prime refuses to leave and instead dons Superman's Legion ring to lead the remaining heroic Legionnaires against Darkseid's forces. In the present, the Justice League survives Gorilla Grodd's timeline assault just as the Time Trapper arrives with a warning. That warning proves true when Superman appears in a Kansas field carrying an injured Booster Gold and calls for the Legion's help. So we brought back Superboy Prime. I thought let me pretend I'm going against Superman and then coming back and helping him was dumb.
Everything was dumb, Drew.
There was a lot that happened in these issues. There was a lot of characters. It felt like it was bouncing all over the place, too.
That's the thing. A lot happened, Drew, but like, what of substance really happened?
Booster Gold's back.
And like, him being in a Williamson book is just disgusting. I just get your paws off of him. Let him go, please. You are a greater threat to him than Darkseid. I can't wait for another writer to take over as the writer at DC, Drew. I don't know how long it's going to be. Whenever that golden age comes, though, I will be the first to celebrate it.
I'm not surprised. Maybe we should have some cake to celebrate. Because Superman has not been good for a while. You got Lex, who doesn't know if he's a good guy or a bad guy. We're bringing back Superboy Prime, who doesn't know if he wants to be a good guy or a bad guy. We got the Time Trapper, which is just a stupid character, in my opinion. Some of the stuff could be good in somebody else's hands, but
I refuse to accept the Time Trapper being a good idea. I reject that notion. I do think I can't think of her name, but whatever, the cowgirl.
Marilyn Moonlight.
Yeah, I think she's an interesting idea, although I would argue strongly that the artist design that created her deserves 99.9% of that credit. I can't give it to Williamson because I haven't loved any of his writing, and that's not her character's fault. But the design of her is really cool, and I think the idea in theory of her could be cool, but whatever Williamson is doing with her is not it. But again, I don't think he really cares, Drew. All he cares is that he's introduced to this character, and now any other story, in any media that gets told with her, it's his idea. Right. And that's always transparently been his goal reading his stuff. And we rewarded it with the Flash started just adapting all of his crap, which I want to emphasize the worst seasons of the show are the ones that are adapting his stories. I just need everybody to understand that. And eventually they're going to do the same thing with his Superman or whatever else, whatever other book he gets thrown on. At some point, Drew, we'll probably see an adaptation of Dark Crisis, and it's a bad story. It's not a good story. And so whatever adaptation, loose or otherwise, of it that we see won't be good because it's fundamentally not a well-told story. Just like the different Flash villains and stories that he set up in that did not translate well to the show. I mean, I think the show was struggling to begin with, but B, they were adapting stuff that wasn't good.
Yeah, I'm not going to argue with you on that. I do have to admit, though, some of the issues look pretty good artistic wise.
I totally agree with you. That's the thing that frustrates me the most because he's on the A-list book. You can't put a bad artist on Superman when it's supposed to be one of your top selling books. And so he benefits. And I know to be self-aware, there are a lot of people that make the same argument with Tom King that he benefits greatly from being given the best artist that DC has to work with. And there's some truth to that, but I also feel I have long felt personally that the writing has matched the artwork in those books. And in Williamson's, I just feel like he gets carried heavily by very good artwork that is depicting a just truly terrible story.
See, I agree with you on that. I think I saw Jamel Campbell's name on a couple issues. Because I was like, man, the artwork on this is pretty good. I looked and saw his name and I was like, oh, that's why. Because he's the artist that did the Sojourn miniseries. I like his artwork a lot. I'm glad we got through these Superman issues because we won't be back to it for a bit.
Oh, no.
I need to be disappointed by that. All right, well, that wraps up our comic books talk for this week. Let's take a short break, and when we come back, we'll talk the Sandman.
Well, it's getting close to summer, and you know what that means. No, don't you dare. That was 2 promos ago. Now, one thing you can be sure of, Monster Attack publishes new episodes every Monday at 5 p.m. Monster Attack, the podcast dedicated to old monster movies and a proud member of the ESO network.
Hey, shut up!
And we're back. Let's talk the Sandman, Season 2, Episode 9, The Kindly Ones. Dream resurrects the Corinthian, stating that the second Corinthian is nothing like his predecessor. He remembers them because he has a fragment of the first Corinthian in his essence. Since Morpheus cannot leave the dreaming without endangering it, the Corinthian will find Daniel Hall in the waking world and bring him back. He will have a companion, Johanna Constantine. Johanna refuses to work with a serial killer who murdered people and eats their eyeballs. Dream assures her that the Corinthian is essentially a newborn and needs someone to shepherd him. Dream also offers Johanna an eagle stone, a jeweled necklace invested with Dream's power long ago. If the Corinthian does threaten her, she will have the power to uncreate the Corinthian. Elsewhere, Miss Lita Hall learns from the detective, who is Loki in disguise, that Daniel was found burnt to death at a campsite. They were able to identify him because of a shoe that matched the one in the photograph that they were given. Mrs. Shore believes that there is something off about Daniel's death. Mrs. Shore states that the detective is wrong about the campsite. Lita dismisses Mrs. Shore. Back in the dreaming, Morpheus knocks over some books looking for one to read. Since he is trapped there and there is nothing else to do, he decides to read a book. Lucien explains that there is an ongoing dispute between the Knight of Clouds and the body politic, which requires arbitration. Dream decides to take care of that. In Fairy, Lady Nuala is staring in the mirror and trying to fix her hair. Frustrated, she goes to Clarican's room and asks that he remove the glamour from her face. Clarican reminds Nuala that it is customary for those in the Queen's court to wear glamour at all times. It is time to join the Queen for tea. Lady Nuala wonders if Oberon's captain of the guard will be there. She wants to send troops to the dreaming when the time comes. Clarican asks if something happened between her and the Dream King. Nuala answers no, but Clarican points out that the Dream King did give Nuala that necklace that Queen Titania has been coveting. If Nuala was smart, she would give it to the Queen. Lady Nuala answers that she cannot. It's not just a necklace, but a boon. If she holds the stone and calls to Lord Morpheus, it will bring him to her, and he will grant her a boon. Clarican suggests that she cash it in before the kindly ones get a hold of him. Back on Earth, Loki confronts Mrs. Shore because she has been following him. Loki pulls a gun on Mrs. Shore and demands that they go somewhere private to talk. A few minutes later, in an alley, Loki reveals that he took the child, claiming that he is Loki, the god of fire and wit and hate. Loki throws his cigarette at Mrs. Shore and she catches on fire. Loki tosses the police file about Daniel Hall into the flames, stating that he will be under obligation to no one. Delirium goes to her brother Destiny because she has lost her dog. Destiny explains to Delirium that if she looks for her dog, she will find it. But if she finds her dog, she shall find other things as well. The choice is hers. Delirium wonders if she should take Dream. Last time she went on a quest, she took Dream. Destiny repeats that the choice is hers. Suddenly, a second Destiny appears, and they talk at the same time. The original Destiny advises to let Dream cope with his problems on his own. The second Destiny advises that Destiny's aid cannot hurt him, and it may conceivably help. Back in the Dreaming, Dream pays a visit to Gilbert down by the lake. Gilbert explains that when one of the Endless changes, well, that changes everything. Back on Earth, Johanna Constantine was to summon Odin to help track down Loki. The Corinthian stops her, reminding her that Dream ordered them not to contact Odin. Instead, Johanna uses magic to create a fire trail that leads them to Loki. Lita Hall is sitting on a bench petting a dog when an old woman comes up to her and states she is sorry about her boy. The three sent her, the kindly ones. They can't bring her boy back, but they can punish them that's responsible. The old woman tells Lita to follow her. She'll take her to them. Loki returns home and goes to the fireplace. He begins peeling an outer shell from the baby in the fireplace. He explains to Puck that in ancient Greece, the goddess Demeter placed the infant Prince Demophon on the fire to burn away his humanity and make him a god. Daniel's a proper little dream lord now, and every bit as powerful as Morpheus, if not more so. Thanks to his performance as D.S. Pinkerton, Lita Hall believes that Dream killed Daniel. Won't be long now before she returns the favor, and then Loki will be free. Puck leaves Loki not happy about how he was treated. Elsewhere, Johanna and the Corinthian follow the flames to Mrs. Shore's dead body. Johanna has a spell that can make the dead talk, but the Corinthian cuts out her eyes and places them where his own should be. The Corinthian states he knows where Loki is. Johanna and the Corinthian come across Puck in a bar. He gives up Loki and Daniel right away. Room 4059. Puck states Loki deserves it. He's going back to Fairy. Delirium goes to the Dreaming to ask Dream for his help in finding her dog. Delirium mentions that she stopped to see Destiny first. There was two of him, one telling her to ask for Dream's help and the other telling her not to. By the time Delirium left, there were dozens of Destinies walking in different directions, talking to themselves. Dream smiles and tells Delirium that he is happy because she gave him hope. Dream gives Delirium a present, a creature named Goldie, to help her on her quest to find her missing dog. Back in her apartment, Matt Hetty draws a circle of protection around Lita Hall and then casts a spell that sends Lita Hall on a spiritual journey to seek out the kindly ones. The Corinthian and Johanna arrive at Loki's apartment to find Dream. Dream tells the Corinthian to return to the Dreaming. Johanna tells the Corinthian that this is a trick. Loki is a shapeshifter. Johanna goes to check on Daniel and hears the Corinthian shout from the other room that she was right. It wasn't Dream. The Corinthian is on top of Loki as he changes into Johanna and then the Corinthian himself. Finally, Loki bursts into flame. Suddenly, Odin and Thor appear. They have come to take Loki back to his prison. Odin tells Johanna and the Corinthian that despite his freeing Loki, there is no grudge between them. Let Dream go to his grave in peace. Lita Hall finds the cabin of the kindly ones and tells them that the Dream King killed her son. There is nothing they can do about that, But since he killed his own son, they can. They can transform her so she can kill the Dream King. Johanna wants to take Daniel back to her mother until she learns that the Corinthian could defy Dream's orders for her. Johanna charges her mind and tells the Corinthian to take Daniel back to the Dreaming. Johanna parts ways with the Corinthian. Back in Fairy, Lady Nuala is not happy with Clarican for leaving her alone with Minton. He has no interest in sending troops to the Dreaming. After 300 years of being gone, Puck has returned to Fairy. He tells Lady Nuala that the Furies have been sent to kill Lord Morpheus. Lady Nuala must warn Lord Morpheus at once and then realizes her pendant is missing. Clarican reveals that he told the Queen about it being a boon. Lady Nuala realizes that the Queen must have stolen it. When Lady Nuala returns to the Queen tells Lady Nuala that she forgot her necklace in the sitting room. Lady Nuala offers Queen Titania the necklace in exchange for her permission to return to the Dreaming at once. Puck has just informed them the Kindly Ones are about to descend on the Dreaming. She wants to go to Lord Morpheus and warn him. Queen Titania states there's no need to leave Fairy. They can call Lord Morpheus to them. When Lord Morpheus appears, Lady Nuala warns Lord Morpheus that the Kindly Ones are coming. Lord Morpheus states that the Kindly Ones cannot hurt him as long as he remains in his realm, but he is no longer in his realm. Back in the Dreaming, Lita Hall appears to Gilbert along with the Kindly Ones. Lita Hall stabs Gilbert with a sword and he falls over and disappears.
Well, this just went really well, I think, Drew.
Yeah.
Just about everything that could go well went well, I would say. What a lucky break.
I honestly thought Loki had killed Daniel, but I didn't expect him to go back and peel off his outer skin or whatever, revealing him as a god. That I didn't expect.
That part didn't surprise me, Drew. I'm now, to be clear, I didn't expect exactly what happened, but I didn't think that he had actually died. Because we knew he was being prepared to be the heir to the Dreaming. So there, I don't know. I didn't know in what way he would be safe, but I assumed that he would be safe. Also, it just isn't that kind of show, Drew, where they would actually kill a baby. You know what I mean? Like, they'll do some other horrific things, but this show doesn't go that far, I don't think.
I wasn't sure what Loki's goal was. Now that he's done that, is his goal to control the baby or, kind of manipulate?
No, I don't think so. I think remember, because he was basically, I think he's ultimately doing exactly what he and Puck said they were going to do, which was enact the plan, but do it well early, right? Before Morpheus actually wanted it done. And I think ultimately what he wanted Loki to do was to get Daniel Hall and basically prep him to be the Dreaming in some way. Now, what the actual version of that plan was supposed to look like, I don't know. But I do think ultimately he does do what they told us he was going to do, right? Which was make the request, but do it early. And I think that's essentially a version of what we saw, Drew. So I think his plan isn't necessarily to control Daniel Hall. It's to ensure that Daniel Hall takes over the throne, so to speak, for lack of a better term, quicker, much sooner than intended, because that would mean that Morpheus is dead, and therefore Loki owes nobody any favors, and he's free from Odin. The version of his plan that works is one in which Morpheus dies, Daniel Hall takes over, and Loki stays free, right? And he pulls off at least one, it appears to be one, in getting Daniel Hall, ready to go. He seems to have set well into motion part 2, which is Morpheus dying. The only hiccup is part 3 of that plan.
Which was Johanna's doing. She called Odin in. Something Dream didn't want to do, but actually on Johanna's part, it was smart because Loki was taken into custody.
I agree. That was one thing, Drew, that I'd be curious to see the comic version of this part of the story, because I found Loki's capture to be very underwhelming.
Yeah, it was underwhelming and kind of quick.
Quick, but also not really a good comeuppance. I mean, they try to sell you on it. They're like, oh, his prison under the earth is way worse than any death. But then, he gets the last shot off, right? As Thor's carrying him away, he gets one more prank off on Thor, telling him that he slept with his wife, right? It just didn't feel like that character really got a true comeuppance. I mean, yes, he is going to go back to the prison, but we don't see that. right? And I don't know that we will see that because I'm sure the show has better things to do. It was just odd for what is ultimately the antagonist of this story arc. I just didn't feel a whole lot of catharsis in his defeat because he is defeated. That's the thing. Like if they wanted to go a different direction where like Loki pulls it off and then gets away, I think there's a version of that that you could do, but that's not what they do, Drew. Like they do have him lose, but it's just not as satisfying as I would have liked.
Going back to Barry, them pulling Morpheus there basically sealed his fate. And I kind of wondered if that was on purpose. I was wondering if that's what Queen Titania wanted. If she can't have Dream, nobody can.
No, I don't think that's what she wanted. I think she's so selfish that she can't see past her own nose, Drew. I feel like the show has made that very clear. She sees the necklace and covets it until she's able to get her paws on it. And as soon as she does, it's a very simple request, right? Like, you have the necklace, you let me go, but she can't let her go because she wants her too, right? And so she's like, oh, I'll just have everything that I want and I'll use the necklace to summon him here because that gives me what I want. I think she's just a supremely selfish character because she's only ever been given what she wants.
Okay, that makes sense. And that basically seals his fate.
Yep.
Because as soon as he's gone, the kindly ones are there in the dreaming.
The
Poor
one thing I
Gilbert.
would really like to see, Drew, is Claire can have some sort of comeuppance at the end of this show. I mean, what an asshole. Just literally does everything wrong at every single turn. Like he has not done one single kind thing for his sister the entirety of the season. And I don't feel like he's had to suffer for that at all. And I'm not entirely convinced, Drew, because the focus ultimately won't be on him. I'm not entirely convinced that we'll see that. And that's not entirely satisfying to me, if I'm being honest.
I don't blame you there. I got a feeling the next episode is going to be the end of Morpheus. What do you think?
I would be shocked if he didn't die. I would be shocked.
Yeah, I'd be shocked too. I'm expecting him to be gone by the end of the next episode. And if that happens, I wonder if we're going to get to see Daniel take over then. And if that's how they're going to finish off the season. I'm just very curious. I know we're getting close to the end of the season. We only got a few more episodes left.
Yeah, it's from what I can tell, Drew, it's 2 real episodes and sorry, that's not the right word I want to use, but 2 episodes of the main story arc and then 1 bonus story episode similar to what they did in season 1, which I love that they're doing. I mean, selfishly, I wouldn't have been upset if they did 2 extra stories, but I get it. But yeah, so I think we have 2 episodes left of the main story arc, and I, like you, Drew, I don't think that Morpheus will be alive in both. I mean, I'm sure we'll see the actor in some fashion in both, probably via flashbacks or something, but yeah, I don't know. Having not read the Sandman, I don't know exactly where it's going, but I said this before, Drew, but I really part of my brain really recognizes Daniel Hall's name, and I feel pretty strongly that we're just going to see exactly what the show has been telling us that we're going to see with him.
So I am very curious to read the comics. I'm tempted to see if it's on the DC app and see if I get a chance to start reading it.
I'm almost positive it is.
Yeah, I would be
It's
surprised.
a Vertigo title. It would be, I don't know how it would have to have been an ownership thing, and there's no way 1980s, 1990s DC was giving Gaiman any sort of ownership.
I haven't checked to see if it's on there, but if it is, I might check it out.
I know because I pulled it up when I referenced it. I know for sure the Lucifer spin-off books are for sure on there, so I cannot imagine the Sandman isn't.
So I may check that out then. All right. Well, that wraps up our show for this week. Do you have a shout out, Cletus?
Yeah, so I, again, detest the stories that we read, but Superboy Prime pops up in part of Williamson's story, and we see him punch a hole in reality, and then they go off gallivanting on their quest. And we know that Superboy Prime pops up in Crisis on Infinite Earths as a good guy, and then we see him again in Infinite Crisis, where he becomes the bad guy that you and I have talked about in the Green Lantern book on our other podcast. Shout out. And in Infinite Crisis, Drew, we see his infamous punching through reality, and the shatters of reality kind of change things, including Jason Todd coming back to life, amongst other major DC changes to continuity. So that is where that part of that character story comes from.
Yes, and if you're curious about the other podcast that Cletus is talking about, he's talking about our bonus episodes on our Patreon. We're reviewing the Jeff Johns Green Lantern run where Superboy Prime shows up in. So if you guys want to check that out, you can check out our Patreon where we have that, and where Bat Chums has got their bonus episodes where we're doing Batman 1943. So just a short shout out for that. My shout out for this week is I'm shouting out the Spider-Man trailer. Is about Spider-Man Brand New Day. I saw the trailer the other day and got excited about Spider-Man. I got so excited. I watched Homecoming. I watched Far From Home. And I was going to watch No Way Home, but I had to pay for it, so I didn't. I was surprised it wasn't on the Disney Plus app. But I saw the trailer and I got excited about Spider-Man. So I started watching all the movies while I was on spring break this past week. But yeah, the new trailer got me excited for Spider-Man. It's been a little bit since I watched or read any Spider-Man anything. So yeah, I just wanted to shout out about the new trailer because it looked pretty good. I'm excited about it. I don't know if you'd seen it or not, Cletus.
Yeah, I am intrigued to see what they do. I think we have the potential for a pretty good superhero year in theaters. We've got Supergirl coming up. We've got the next Avengers film. We've got Spider-Man. And we'll see. Hopefully all of them are good. And Clayface. Can't forget about that one. Green Lantern coming out on HBO. Could be a pretty good year for superhero fans, Drew.
Yep. I know I'm excited for all that stuff. So, all right. If you'd like to comment on anything we've talked about this week, you can reach us at our feedback line, 317-455-8411. Text us, leave us a message, or you can email us at legendsofthedcu@gmail.com. All right, Cletus, coming up next week, we've got Absolute Flash number 8, Absolute Wonder Woman number 15, Absolute Batman Arc M Special number 1, and Absolute Wonder Woman 2026 Annual number 1. Thanks for joining us, and we'll see you next time.
This has been a broadcast of the ESO Network. Be part of the crew and help support our shows by donating to our ESO Patreon or by shopping at the TeePublic store, which can all be found at www.esonetwork.com. The ESO Network, your station for all things geek.